Welcome back to Finnegan Begin Again. Today we're going to start assembling the rear axle so we can get the rear installed to match the front, get the drivetrain in, and then we can start getting all the extraneous stuff, and then the motor goes in. Oh, and then once the motor goes in, we can get the motor started for the first time. Oh, I can't wait for that. Okay, I'm also quite nervous about it, so whatever. Anyway, focus, here we go. Rear end. So we're going to start by assembling the axles into drive gear, rear drive gear, and there are no bushings or anything associated with this, so we're going to make sure we get it really nice and gooped up with lubricant so that it's not metal on metal at the beginning until the transmission fluid can, work its way in there and get all around. Now, because all of this stuff has been sitting around for a while, I have recleaned it with brake cleaner, get any flash rusting or any residual dirt or anything off of these parts. I want it to be as clean as possible before going in. Also blew it off to get any of the extraneous dust and things off. So gonna go ahead and lube up here, lube there, get some in the teeth here, and that might be able to wait, keep us somewhat clean. But let's get started. So first axle, we're gonna make sure we put plenty of lube on the surface here. Now, of course, it is November, and this is pretty tacky stuff. I could use my fingers, but I kind of want to stay clean. And it's not like it requires a whole lot, So, it being November, that means that this stuff is, extra tacky. And then we're going to want to put it around this bearing surface on the axle itself. Basically anything that's shiny is a bearing surface, so we're going to lube it up. I know, this is super exciting watching lubricant go onto surfaces, but very important. All right, so now this one can go down inside. Squish. And it rotates nice and smooth and you don't hear any metal. All right, now we can start assembling our spider gear holder. That's upside down. Ha! So that's all of these 4 spider gears, this cross member that holds them in place, and the cage for it. And then this is the other side of the cage. All right. Let's go ahead, and I don't think that there's really any rotation, but it doesn't hurt to put some here. Remember, everything I'm doing here, I'm doing for the camera as well, so you guys need to see this stuff. Just a touch. Okay, and then all 4 of these, so the spider gears, are going to ride on that surface in here, so we'll make sure we get those lubed up. What's nice about this, and I said it before on the transmission, what's nice about this assembly goo, that's actually what's called assembly goo, it actually kind of smells nice. Which is kind of rare for machine parts, isn't it? My father was in the Air Force, and when I was young, we were, now, not that Dad wanted us to show up, but it wasn't such tight security back then that we could actually ride our bicycles to my father's shop. And every once in a while we'd show up at his shop, you know. And I'll always associate, you know how you kind of associate smells with people? Or associate, you know, when you think of a person, you think of a smell. Well, my father will always be the smell of his shop. He was a heavy equipment operator and telecommunications stuff, and his shop had that grease smell to it. So I will always, always, always associate that smell with my father. And there are a couple of shops at work that have that smell. And when I walk into them, I think, oh, Dad. Okay, so now that's in its lower cage. And as you can see, it's going to sit here, and engage the first axle. But we want to make sure that these are greased up so that fits nice and tight, so that they're not metal on metal in the gearing. So I will go ahead and time lapse that. Okay, we will call that good. Now we gotta make sure that these line up down inside there. And as you can see, it's good and lubricated. A little bit further down in there, but when we install the bolts here, and put the nuts on them, it's going to draw this the rest of the way down inside of there. So that's okay. But we definitely need to make sure that the bolts are lined up. And they're just a little bit off. So I'm going to use a tool, like a screwdriver, to go up underneath and make sure that those holes are aligned. Okay. Ever so slightly. There we go. There we go. All right, those holes are aligned. All right, now the other side. All right, so again, shiny parts, need lubrication. And with the sun shining in where it is, you know, it should look pretty shiny to y'all. I'm seeing some shiny parts I did not lubricate right here on each of those spider gears. So we'll go ahead and do that. As we hold this down, rotate this, and that should smear it on the race for them. Okay. Now we'll pre-lubricate this side. Right. Now, axle number 2. Let's set this up most advantageous to for ourselves. There we go. Except that it's going to hit down there. Well, it'll work for now. All right, axle number 2, getting its shiny surfaces lubricated. Do you hear my dog? She definitely wants to come out and visit. Maybe I'll let her out. You guys can see Mochi dear. Sweet little Mochi Mochi. Oh, it's sitting on the floor. Oh well. All right. Now comes the fidgety part. Aligning all of these bolts with their holes. Getting it installed. Ready? Here we go. Okay, it's gonna hold itself. And as you can see, we're rotating. And there's no metal on metal sound. Yay. Now, let's find our rubber mallet and get this bead into place. Is it even going anywhere? There it's going. Yeah, I can see it. There we go. There we go. Yep, it's sticking out the bottom. Solid. Down good and tight. All right. Test turn. Oh, still turning nice and smooth. Nice and quiet. Now, it's a matter of flipping the whole thing over and getting these castle nuts on. All right. Nuts. Oh, maybe we should put some anise on these. Where's my anise? Ah, here. Doesn't take much. Doesn't take much to make a mess. Now, we don't have any torque value for this, so I'm just gonna cinch them down cross pattern. And of course, as I'm doing this, I'm still drawing all of this tighter together. So I'm only tightening a little bit at a time to make sure it's gonna draw up evenly. So once I start to see that move a little bit, and move on to the next one. And currently, there's some play up and down. You can hear that. Don't think that should be there. So once we tighten this down, that should be gone. See, I just tightened this one, and because we drew that last one down, it was loose already. That's okay. That's okay. Means we're still clamping it together. Let's see if that play is on. Yep, no up and down play, but we're still rotating nice and smooth. Okay, so now let's get these torqued down. These are cross drilled, so this will be safety wired, lock wired, rather than cotter pinned. And I've got that, you saw me do that in the engine. So we'll pass on that for now. So that is the rear axle completely assembled together.